The second respondent committed misconduct in that he delegated his duty to appoint match commissioner per rule 30 sub-rule 1 of the SAFA competition rules to Mr. Bonakele Sodoli, who is not a designated official per the SAFA competition uniform rules. Alternative to count 1, the second respondent committed misconduct in that he failed to exercise his power to appoint match commissioner in terms of Rule 31 of the SAFA competition uniform rules. Thereby, Mr. Bonakele Sodoli ended up assuming a second respondent's duty per Rule 31 of the SAFA competition uniform rules and appointed Mr. Tenjana Mbangata, who was not a suitable candidate because his son, Tando Mbangata, was part of the participating teams when a match to be officiated by him. In respect of the third respondent, Mr. Tenjana Mbangata, count 1, the third respondent committed misconduct in that you accepted an appointment as a match commissioner on the 25th of January 2025 in the match between FC Ravens and Sinangane FC held at Mputuni Mufumbata Stadium while having a direct or indirect connection with FC Ravens as the father of a player, Ndando Mbangata, of a participating team, FC Ravens. Count 2, the third respondent committed misconduct in that as the match commissioner, you approved the FC Ravens players list where your son Ndando Mbangata was a player in the participating team and failed to recuse yourself as a match commissioner. In respect of the fourth respondent, Bonakele Sodoli, his count 1, the fourth respondent committed misconduct in that you as not a designated official as defined under Rule 31 of SAFA competition uniform rules, you made an appointment of a match commissioner where you appointed Mr. Tenjana Mbangata, who was not a suitable candidate because his son, Tando Mbangata, was part of the team list for FC Ravens. Those are the questions in respect of the second, third, and fourth respondents.
Thanks, Council. Over to you, Mr. Kole. Do you understand the charges leveled against all your clients, and if so,
yes,
would you plead to all the charges?
Not guilty to all charges.
Are you going to call any witnesses, as in when you are afforded to lead evidence?
No, Chairperson.
Okay. Over to you, Counsel. You may lead your evidence in proving all the allegations.
Thank you, Chair. May I be permitted to call the chairman of Sinangane FC to give evidence?
Okay. Do you have any objections on taking an oath?
No objection.
So you swear that all the evidence that you are going to provide will be truthful, nothing but the truth? If so, so say help me God.
So help me.
Thanks. Over to you, Counsel.
Thank you, Chair. Your name and surname for the people who's off record.
My name is Nati Noah Moto.
Where are you coming from?
From Eastern Cape, Zana, Amatiba location, Zangezwa village.
What are you doing for a living?
I am a public representative in Alfred Nzo District Municipality as a councillor.
Okay. In relation to the complainant that is before court, how are you related to the complainant?
I am the chairman of the complainant.
What brings you in this forum?
What brings me here is that we lodge a complaint against the appointment of the match commissioner as per the SAFA rules and statutes.
When did you lodge the complaint?
On the 30th of January 2025.
What was the basis of the complaint that you lodged?
The basis of our complaint was that we discovered that the appointed mesh commissioner on the day was conflicted because his son is playing for FC Rivals, and that is against SAFA rules.
So when did you file the complaint?
We filed the complaint on the 30th of January 2025.
And when was the game taking place?
The game took place on the 25th of January 2025 at Mputu Mafumbata Stadium.
What was the outcome of the match?
The Senegale FC unfairly lost the game by a goal to nil.
So after you filed the complaint on the 30th of January, what was the response from SAFA Eastern Cape?
After it took very long, the SAFA Eastern Cape responded through Provincial Executive Officer dismissing our complaints without any due process.
What was the reason that was cited for the complaint to be dismissed?
The reason that we provided was that our complaint is not in compliance with the rules of which we disagreed, because we lodged the complaint according to the rules, which is 19.1 as per SAFA statutes.
So after your complaint was dismissed, what did you do after?
After the dismissal of our complaint, we appealed. In fact, the dismissal letter directed us, if we have any issues about the decision, we must direct our appeal to National, of which we did. We did wrote to SAFA National to appeal against the decision of Eastern Cape SAFA PO, Mr. Sikelela Mtangai, of which in his response, Mr. Sikelela, he said if we are not happy about his decision, we must just write straight to arbitration. Hence we wrote to National.
Okay, so what was the outcome from National in relation to your appeal?
Again, without any due process by SAFA National, our appeal was then dismissed without being processed through arbitration as per the dismissal letter and the SAFA process.
So after SAFA National dismissed your appeal, as it was directed by Mr. Mtangai to go straight to an arbitration, what did you do?
We had no other option because we had hoped that SAFA National will then attend to our complaint. After we exhausted all internal SAFA processes, we had no other options but to approach High Court for justice.
So when you approached the High Court, who deposed to the papers that were filed in the High Court?
Can you repeat the question?
I'm saying, you said after your complaint was dismissed by SAFA National, you had no other option but to approach the High Court for justice. So I'm asking, on the papers that were filed in the High Court, who signed those papers on behalf of Senegale Football Club?
because now that the matter was being taken to court, we had no choice but to approach our legal team to handle the matter on our behalf.
Okay. But are you the person who signed the affidavit that was filed in the High Court?
Yes, I am the person who signed the affidavit.
Okay. Chair, may I be permitted to refer the witness to the affidavit, because there are some of the allegations which I want to take the client through in that affidavit. I think you'll understand, Chair, the basis of my request. It was the same reason that we provided when we made an application to be present, because some of the evidence that we're going to need, it's part of what was presented in the High Court. Can I get one bundle so that I can give it to the... I think I need this one.
Absolutely. Fantastic.
Chair, the first page of the founding affidavit, it's page 16, but I'll go to page 17. Is this the affidavit that you signed?
Yes, it is.
May we go to page... If you may permit me, just for a minute.
Whilst you are looking for it, do you have the said affidavit?
I'm looking for it, Chairperson. You said the first one is page 17?
Yeah, of the founding affidavit. It's not... I think look at the...
Missed.
May I request that you go to page 23, in particular at paragraph 5.7.
Pages on the side. Yes. Five point?
7. We'll start at 5.7. Where it says, as featured, the match was played under the commission of the third respondent and ended with a victory of the hosting team with a score line of 1-0. 5.8, on the very same day, at the end of the match, it was brought to my attention as the chairman of the applicant that the third respondent was directly and indirectly connected to the sixth respondent. I took it upon myself to inquire and conduct a preliminary investigation on how the third respondent was perhaps directly or indirectly connected to the sixth respondent. Upon my preliminary investigation, I discovered that the third respondent is the biological father or a close blood relative of one of the 6 respondents' team players, therefore indeed directly or indirectly connected to the 4th respondent. With the strength of the outcome of my preliminary investigation, I conducted a full investigation wherein I became aware that the 3rd respondent is the biological father of Mr. Ndando Mangata, who was a team player of FC Ravens, and Mr. Ndando Mangata was a fielded player in the match where the 3rd respondent was appointed as the match commissioner. I attach in a copy of the 5th respondent's team list of the very same match where Ndando's name can be seen at number 18 as annexure XN2. And I think it's important that at this stage we also look at the team list, which can be found at page 64. It's a team sheet, FC Ravens versus Sinengane. Then there will be names. On the left hand side you will see the numbers from 1 to 32. Then we'll go to number 18. That's where you will see the name Ndando Mangata. And if you look at where the names are, then you will see there is PSIA, then P stands for play. Then if we look at number 1, is ticked as a person who was playing. Number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, number 6, then 17, 18, 23, 28, and 29. That will give you the 11 players that were on the starting lineup. Then, if I may then go back to where I was reading from page 24. I should continue to read from 5.11, where it says, the 3rd respondent is the biological father of Mr. Ndando Mangata, born from Ms. Lindiwe Mkobeni. The 3rd respondent has 2 sons with Ms. Lindiwe Mkobeni, namely Unati, in brackets Aguero Mangata, and Ndando Tyson, in brackets Mangata. To affirm this relationship, both Mr. Ndando Mangata and the player of FC Ravens and the 3rd respondent reside in the same house in Batibanise area in Mount Friend, Eastern Cape. Given the nature of the relationship between the 3rd respondent and Mr. Ndando Mangata, who is a player of FC Ravens prima facie, the 3rd respondent is or was connected directly or indirectly to the participating team, being FC Ravens, and must have not been appointed as the match commissioner. Alternatively, the 3rd respondent ought to have declared his connection through his biological son to prevent violation of Rule 31 of the SAFA competition uniform rules and declined the appointment as a match commissioner. The 3rd respondent is effectively the vice president of SAFA in the 2nd respondent and the head of the Department of Referees in the Eastern Cape. The 3rd respondent therefore bore the ethical duty to disclose his direct or indirect connection with the 6 respondent to first and second respondents, and the applicant, however, he failed to do so and proceeded to commission the match. I think that's where I will stop and ask for a comment or a confirmation from the chair, whether that's in order and that's what he still intends to say in respect of what has happened.
Thank you very much. Yes, I still stand firmly with this affidavit as a true reflection of what transpired.
Then why are you here today?
We are here today to seek justice. The justice that will, in the near future, from now going forward, that will prevent SAFA officials to abuse their authority. And we want also the chairperson of this hearing to apply SAFA rules in relation to, I think it's SAFA, if I can just...
In fact, if you're looking for the rules, they are attached. I think the first annexure to that affidavit, it's the SAFA rules.
Yes, no, thank you very much. The reason why we are further here, according to Rule 19 of SAFA, in particular Rule 19, subsection 1.8, we would love that the chairperson must order that the forfeiture of points without awarding them to the complainant or any other team directly or indirectly affected by the misconduct.
Did I get you correct that it's 19.11.8?
Yes.
Where you were written from?
Yes, 19.11.8.
Okay. Is it then correct that you want the chairperson of this DC to find that there has been a violation in terms of Rule 31 and then grant what appears, because that 19.11.8, it's the last, that the chair should start from 19.11 to, 19.11.1 to 19.11.8
Yes,
to grant all what is ordered
yes,
after he has made a finding in terms of 1911 that there has been a violation.
that's correct.
Okay. Then I understand that when the case appeared before the High Court, there was an affidavit that was filed in respect of SAFA Eastern Cape, Mr. Mtangai and Mr. Mbangata. Did you at some point have any opportunity of looking at that affidavit in particular in relation to this concerning issue, whether he is indeed the father of Ntando Mbangata or not?
Yes, no, thank you very much. According to the affidavit filed by Mr. Mbangata, he has not denied that he is indeed a father of Mr. Dando Tyson Mbangata. So he admitted in Tata High Court.
Okay. In fact, Chair, because there were two affidavits that were filed in relation to the case of Safa Eastern Cape, which Mr. Mtangai deposed in the affidavit in respect of the respondents. It was his affidavit and the confirmatory affidavit of Mr. Mbangata. So what I'm going to request in relation to the paragraphs that I've read on record, we'll look at the answering affidavit and we'll look at the responses thereof in order to get as to what was indeed the response in relation to those allegations. And that will assist in terms of whether was there any denial or there is still a denial of whether Mr. Mbangata is indeed the father of Ndanda Mbangata or not.
Do you have such in this concern?
It's going to be the affidavit, the answering affidavit of the first to fourth respondents.
I'm asking if in this standing you have
Yeah, I've given it to you. I think you can assist him.
I thought you want to tell us which annexure. Yes, you can open it.
Is it in that two correspondence?
Yeah.
But it says 7 to 14.
No, it can be because I do have. It's second to fourth respondent's notice of filing. Then
Page back.
the page where I will start at, because I was reading from paragraph 5 of the founding affidavit, it's going to be a response to those paragraphs. And the responses to those paragraphs can be found at
It's opening it.
it's going to be it's page 10, add paragraph 5, that starts at paragraph 32.
Page 10, paragraph.
It's page 10, paragraph 32. I will start reading at paragraph 32, where it says the applicant in the funding papers seeks to challenge the appointment of the third respondent as the match commissioner in reliance with Rule 31, in that the third respondent is related to a player playing for 6 respondents. The third respondent as the commissioner appointed in particular matters as an oversight role in respect of compliance with Rule 30 and Rule 28. These regulations are attached by the applicant as Annexure SN1. I do not wish to attach these regulations in order to avoid overburdening the court with a repetition of annexures. All these roles to be played by the third respondent would be simply referred to as preparatory roles to ensure that nothing delays the proceedings of the game. Therefore, the third respondent as a match commissioner appointed as direct influence on the game. No case is made by the applicant on the funding papers to the contrary. The applicant in the funding papers fails to make allegations as to how is the alleged relationship by the third respondent to one Tano Mangata helped the sixth respondent to win the match, nor is there any allegation that the third respondent committed any offense of corruption on the match played on the 25th January 2025. Rule 19.5 provides that no complaint must be made against the referees and or assistant referees' decisions connected with a play in any game except if the complaint contains an allegation of corruption. Save for the averments I have made herein, the rest of the allegations contained in this paragraph are noted. And I think, Chair, you must note that, because these were the allegations of fact that were made under that paragraph. It's either you deny, the minute you note, it's good as being admitted. We know as to how one can answer to allegations. You cannot just note a serious allegation and then you don't deny. If it's noted, it's good as admitted. I think it's tried law that noting it's good as admitting. But if I may continue to read further, at paragraph 5, which is a repetition of the one that I've just read, paragraph 37. Firstly, the process of internal processes to deal with the complaint is accepted. However, the applicant has failed to bring this matter to the attention of the arbitration. Therefore, this application stands to be struck off the run. I don't want to read everything, but if I may be permitted to go straight again to another point, because the reason I was reading the response to paragraph 5, it's in relation to what I read on record, which is not denied, it's noted. And because it's noted, that's good as admission. As things stands, if you look at the founding affidavit together with what is stated in the answering affidavit, it supports the proposition that the applicant makes. Was in particular the allegations that you were referring to when you said it's admitted in the answering affidavit that Mr. Mbangata is the father of Ntando Mbangata, who played for FC Ravens.
Can you repeat the question?
I'm saying based on what I read to be the response to paragraph 5 of the founding affidavit, where in particular, if we look at paragraph 37, where it says, save for the averments I've made here in the rest of the allegations contained in this paragraph are noted.
Yes, that's correct.
That's the admission that you're talking about.
Yes, that's correct.
Because this is the response to what you said in your paragraph 5, which it's not seriously denied or any form, it's not denied.
Yeah, yes, it's based on this answering affidavit.
Actually, if you may just give me 1 minute, I just want to find, if I can also find so after you received this answering affidavit, I also understand that there was a reply that was filed. Chair, if you may just bear with me, I want to get the replying affidavit to the answer. have it?
I think it's the one that starts on page 20.
I believe so, but if you may just bear with me. No, this is in relation to the sixth respondent. I wonder for the for the second to fourth respondent. I think this might be it. No, I've got it. It's page 25 where I'm going to refer the witness to, where it says, it's paragraph 6, before I delve into the respondent's answering affidavit, the following are common cause issues. Then 6.1, that the match set to play on 11 April 2025 is taking place, which is the match which was to be interdicted in that agent application, in addition to other orders that were sought, as it appears in the judgment, which I will at a later stage refer this forum to. Then 6.2, that the third respondent is the father of Ntando Mbangata, a player of sixth respondent. 6.3, that the third respondent was the match commissioner of the game between applicant and sixth respondent that took place on 25 January 2025. That Rule 31 of the SAFA competition uniform rules prohibits the appointment of a match commissioner who shall be directly or indirectly connected to any participating team. Do you see that, and do you confirm that is still the position of Snengani?
Yes.
As it appears in paragraph 6 of the replying affidavit.
Yes, it is still the position of Snengani.
And what appears, everything that appears in the replying affidavit.
Yes.
Okay. So you said you want this forum to order, among other things, the forfeiture of the points of the game in question per the SAFA competition uniform rules, which you have pointed at Rule 19.11.8. Is it because Mr. Mbangata accepted the appointment as a match commissioner, where his son was playing for the other participating team, or is it because there are also other violations in terms of that Rule 30? And I'm asking this because on the charge sheet there are about 4 respondents. Each has its in relation to the second to fourth respondents, each has his count of what he has committed. Therefore, is it correct that it must be also extended to other respondents that they also violated the same Rule 30?
Yes, it's not only Mr. Mbangata that violated the rules as per our complaint, but he is the main person that should have saved the situation by not accepting the appointment. So we are asking the order that must focus not only on Rule 19.11.8, but we are saying also other respondents must also be taken into task in terms of their role, in terms of the role that they played in relating to this complaint.
Okay, I'm going to ask your comment in relation to the charge that is leveled against Mr. Mtangai. As it appears when the charge is leveled against him, Ultra 2, the first charge is that he committed misconduct in that he delegated his powers to Mr. Sodole, who was not a designated person per Rule 30.1, who did not conduct a due diligence by appointing Mr. Mbangata as a match commissioner. What's your comment on that?
Our comment is that we do agree that Mr. Mtangai, as a designated official, should have exercised his powers as per the uniform rules, of which he failed to do so. So I think the charge is correct to be leveled against him. But secondly, which is I think at a broader level, the fact that also Mr. Mtangai failed to handle this matter, because you remember, according to SAFA uniform rules, Mr. Mtangai should have not dismissed the complaint in the first place. Should have referred the complaint to the relevant committee to deal with it. But he decided to exercise powers that are not vested in him. Instead, he delegated powers that are vested in him as per the SAFA uniform rules. So we fully concur that he must be charged for failing to exercise his duties.
On the point that you just made, is it also in line to the ruling that the High Court made, where the High Court set aside his decision that he made to dismiss the complaint? So in other words, are you saying this forum should also look at the reasons that were advanced in order to challenge his capacity and his powers to dismiss the complaint?
Yes, indeed, this forum must also, when it's taking its decision, must also read the court ruling, the High Court ruling in Mthatha, which really set aside the decision made by Mr. Mtangai to exercise powers that are not accorded to him by the SAFA uniform rules. But also, I think this committee must also look further whether Mr. Mtangai is also fit to hold that office.
Okay. Then, in respect of the third respondent, there are two charges that are leveled against him. The first one we have dealt with, which is his connection about the player that played for FC Rebels. The second charge is in relation to Mr. Mbangata, where he was also conflicted in that, as it appears under that Rule 30.1, that after he has accepted the appointment, there must be a list, which is a team list of the match, which must be submitted to the referees committee, which he is also the head of that committee. What do you say about that? What's your comment about his second role of being the head of the referees and the person on the day in question who was supposed to receive the team list? Let alone his conflict, the first conflict of having a son being proactive. But what's your comment upon in relation to his second role of being the head of referees?
My comment would be that Mr. Mangata knew what he wanted to achieve on the day. He knew because as a seasoned SAFA official or administrator, he was fully aware that him being the next commissioner on the day was indeed in violation of Rule 30.1. So he should have recused himself as per our submission to avoid what we are confronted with now. But to prove that he was fully aware is the fact that he's not even denying in his affidavit that he was not aware that rules do not permit him if he is related. So my point is he was fully aware. He was driving an agenda to make sure that a club where his son is playing proceed to the next level. What must also may be done to further investigate this matter is whether how many games that Mr. Mangata officiated, commissioned, where FC Ravens, where his son is playing, just to take the matter, maybe to further expose the serious abuse of power by some SAFA officials within the football fraternity. So that would be our comment, that it was well orchestrated to make sure that Sinenkani FC is unfairly treated on the said day.
Thank you. Then my last respondent will be the fourth respondent, whom is Mr. Sodoli. The charge against him is that he exercised powers where he is not designated in terms of Rule 31, where he made an appointment where the person that he appointed was not a suitable candidate, but he did not discover that, but he continued to appoint him. What's your comment on that?
May you please repeat the question?
The charge in respect of the fourth respondent, whom is Mr. Sodoli, the charge against him is that he committed misconduct by making an appointment in terms of Rule 31, where that Rule 30.1 permits only the CEO and Mr. Mtangai, as we know his position. Mr. Sodoli is not mentioned under that rule as a designated official. However, he performed what is provided under that rule. He appointed Mr. Bangata, whom was not a suitable candidate to accept the appointment because his son was playing for FC Ravens. Meaning he did not conduct even a due diligence, let alone that he did not even have powers to make that appointment. What's your comment on that?
My comment would be that Mr. Sotolo should have known that before you exercise any task, you have a responsibility to make sure that, in particular in football, there is no conflict of interest as provided in the rules. Even though he failed to do that task, he was supposed to be helped by Mr. Mbangata. He was supposed to be helped by Mr. Mbangata, but there is a possibility that given the positions that Mr. Mbangata is holding, there might be, in terms of the hierarchy of SAFA structures, where Mr. Mbangata is the head of referees in the province, but at the same time is also a match commissioner. I think whether true or not, there is a possibility in the context of this match that Mr. Sotoli might have been under a serious pressure to appoint Mr. Mbangata to make sure that that game where he's got a direct interest, because there's no one who would want his son to progress, to say, give it to me, I will make sure that this outcome that FC Raven wants is granted on the day. Hence, I indicated earlier that Snenkani FC was unfairly, in fact, the outcomes were unfairly towards Snenkani FC because of these discrepancies in terms of being against the rules. So I feel sorry for Mr. Sotoli. Is it Mr. Sotoli? Yes, I feel sorry for him, even though he violated the rules because he's not the designated official. But I feel sorry for him because there is a possibility of interference from his senior in terms of the structures at that level.
While you are still on this hierarchy or structures at SAFA, if I remember very well, as it appears in your founding affidavit, Mr. Mbangata is not only the head of referees, but he's also the vice president in the Eastern Cape. Am I correct on that? Or what exactly, I mean, which position is he holding except being the head of referees?
I think I can say this maybe under the, I think it's also part of the regional structure in Alfred Nzo, which is maybe you can go to the affidavit. But he's holding so many positions in SAFA structures in Eastern Cape, which is something that is unfortunate because you can't be a referee and a player. That's what we normally say. You can't be a referee and a player. That is why Mr. Mbangata is the one who should have rescued the situation in relation to this complaint. Because if he would have rescued himself, I don't think we would be here today. Maybe a team from Eastern Cape would be preparing for national playoffs, and that team surely would have been Snenkani FC.
Thank you. Chair, there's something that's under paragraph 5. I just can't say it now, but I remember there is an allegation of that nature where, in fact, it's paragraph 5.16, founding affidavit, at page 20. Sorry, it's page 25, paragraph 5.16, where it says the third respondent is effectively the vice president of SAFA in the second respondent and the head of the Department of Referees in the Eastern Cape Province. So it's not only about one position, it's about 2 senior positions. which, as we speak, we don't even know the position of Mr. Sadol. And definitely, he is not senior than Mr. Bangati. Because, fortunately or unfortunately, the senior posts, we know the people that are occupying those posts. Did you find it, sir?
Yeah, you know, proceed.
Okay. After having made comments in respect of all the charges, and just to summarize what you said earlier on about what you want to see it happening, is it correct that all what appears under 1911 from 11.1, 19.11.1 up to 19.11.8, you say it should be granted by the Commission after having found that indeed all these respondents have violated that rule?
Yes, it is our prayer that because we believe that all respondents on all charges are guilty, and if we are proved to be correct, we would then ask the chairperson to order that Rule 19 point.
Sorry, it's at page 61. It's 1911.1 to 1911.8, which you'll find in the next page at page 62.
Yes, thank you. It is indeed our prayer that the chairperson must then order that all the sanctions or sentences under Rule 19 be implemented as they are. In particular, the last rule, which is 19.11.8.
Chair, that will end my examination in chief.
Thanks, Council. Before you can cross the witness, Mr. Chair, I just want to find out from you, Chair. You made mention earlier on that Sinenkani unfairly lost the match. What do you mean by that? Was there any action by the match official, in particular the referee, which warrants you to say there was an unfair treatment by the match officials towards Sinenkani?
Yes, the unfair treatment started when the appointment was made, and that on its own contributed to the unfair treatment. his presence then on the day of the match, a supervising referee is knowing very well that he is conflicted, that on its own is an unfair practice. We do not want to venture into what happened in the field of play, because we know what the rules are saying in terms of you can only lodge the protest or the complaint against the match official when there's something like rubber and so on, because you cannot prove that. But we can safely say during the match, everything that happened on the day was totally against Snengane, and we understand now why Snengane on the day could not win that match. I can just make an example where a Snengane goal was denied, when the referee accepted that it was a goal, and the referee was in a very clear position, and the assistant referee ruled otherwise, and you ask yourself why. And many incidences that we can mention, but we do not want to focus on that because that's not the gist of the matter. The gist of the matter is the violation of SAFA rules, in particular 30.1. We don't want to venture into the things that happened in the field, because that's not why we are here. We are here because Mr. Mbangata was appointed, and he accepted the appointment, knowing very well that his son is playing for FC Ravens. That's why we're here.
Thanks, Chairperson. Over to you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Chairperson. You said to Mr. Ngoko,
Yes,
Mr. Nati.
Mr. Nati.
Yeah, what is your position in your team?
I am the chairman.
Are you familiar with the SAFA uniform rules?
In what context?
You quoted the SAFA uniform rule 30.1. Are you familiar with that rule?
Yes.
Thank you, Chairperson. I'm referring to 30.1 SAFA uniform rule. Can I read?
Yes.
The Chief Executive Officer or the designated SAFA official will appoint match commissioner, open brackets, who shall not be connected directly or indirectly to any participating team, close brackets, from a list to be approved by the relevant referee committee from time to time for specific games. Where does it say the player is related to the match commissioner?
It's where it says the match commissioner must not have relations, direct or indirect. That's where the player fits. It's direct or indirect.
Which line is saying that the player is related? If the player is related with the match commissioner, is not supposed to.
No, it doesn't say
officiate the
player.
game.
It says a match commissioner.
Chair. Mr. Kele, I don't know actually the line in which you are asking this question.
30.1, Chairperson.
In brackets, it says, who shall not be connected
Directly
or
or
indirectly
directly.
to any participating team.
Yes. Yes, I'm asking the Chairperson, where does it say the player is related with the match commissioner? Which line is that?
No, the provision is about the match commissioner. It's not about the player. The question is a bit unfair because the
Where
provision clearly says.
Can I rephrase my question,
Yes,
Chairperson?
if you may, please.
Where does it say the match commissioner? The match commissioner is related to the Ravens players?
Can you repeat again?
Where does it says the word who shall not be connected? If I can rephrase it, Chairperson, does it mean the player is related with the match commissioner or any official appointed, according to your knowledge?
Chair, I think I'll have to object because what Mr. Kende is doing, he is putting a proposition to what is not provided in the rule. What he can do, he can see how he's asking his question, but not to read what is provided in the rule and provide his own interpretation when he's asking a question. I think that's unfair.
Can you please maybe try and rephrase your question, Mr. Kele, and in your attempt to rephrase, kindly relate your question with the provision in the rules.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. The Rule 30.1 connected directly. Chairperson, does that mean the match commissioner appointed for the day, if there is a player in question, does this connected means that the player is related with the match commissioner, according to his understanding?
Maybe, wait, Council. Maybe Mr. Glenn, if you can try and assist us here. Firstly, with your own understanding of the provision. How do you understand the provision? Because really, I mean, you need also to assist the forum in understanding the provision.
Yes.
And Chair, I would like to object again to this line of question, because what we mustn't forget is that Snengane has presented a case. SAFA has to present their case. We understand what Rule 30.1 provides. If his case is that according to what is provided under that rule, it doesn't mean when I have a son who's playing for the other team. That's what is provided against in the rule. He must put a question like that, and it must be clear that is his case, so that we can deal with his case based on that point. Now it appears as a Fisher's expedition, because even irrespective of what the chairman of Snengane would say in his interpretation of the rule, at the end of the day, he will have to argue, I'll have to argue my interpretation of what is provided in the rule, and state whether, in terms of my understanding and having considered the facts, considered my case, is there a case that is made for that?
Thanks, Chair. Thanks, Council. Mr. Kele.
Yes.
Yeah, kindly rephrase your.
Thank you.
And ask the witness.
And please, when he does that, he must ask questions according to his case that he's going to prove, not being Fisher's expedition or trying to be speculative.
Yes, thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, he alleged that the player is the match commissioner is related with the player, Chairperson, in this tribunal, Chairperson, in this sitting. He alleged that.
And also with regard to the affidavit submitted by SAFA to court,
Yes.
it was noted that the allegation raised by Snengane were mooted, which to us would assume that that is an acceptance of an acknowledgement of those allegations. So yes, it's alleging there were court papers submitted by SAFA to court, wherein they admitted that indeed the allegations raised are true. So there's nothing different to what he has just said now, that indeed, yes, of course, there's a relationship between the match commissioner and the player of 3X.
Okay.
I don't know what you seek to achieve with regard to that question, but maybe if you can just consider that.
Okay, Chairperson. if I may proceed, Chairperson, can you offer appended 5.7, 5.18, 5.7, 5.14, and 5.15?
Page 25.
Yes,
Page 25.
yes, the one that you gave me.
Page 25.
Yes,
Or the paragraphs from the founding affidavit.
yes, 5.13, 5.14, 5.15.
5.13.
Yes.
Oh, yes. 26. Yeah, it's 5.15.
You said the matter was dismissed at the Eastern Cape.
Yes,
Yes.
that's correct.
Yes. What was the reason for the matter to be dismissed?
I will have then to go through. I think in the bundle is supposed to have reasons that were provided. Let me just go through my emails. I don't want to speak outside the context. I got it. According to the letter dated 6th of February, signed by Mr. Mtangai.
Wait, Chairperson. Is it the letter that was dismissing?
Yes, it's the letter that dismissed our complaint. Yes. Yes, it's written as follows. Subject, dismissal of a complaint by Sinenkani FC. Dear Sir or Madam, this communication refers to the complaint lodged by Sinenkani FC dated 30 January 2025. Unfortunately, the complaint has been deemed non-compliant due to following reasons. 1. Provision Rule 19.3, 19.4, and 19.5. Therefore, Provision 19.6 has been invoked. The complaint fee will be returned in the earliest convenient. Let me just says 19.3. 19.3. So our complaint was dismissed based on Rule 19.3, 19.4, and 19.5, which we believed that the PO, Mr. Skelela, when dismissing our complaint, quoted wrong provisions of the rules.
Can I proceed, Chair? 19.3 of SAFA Uniform Rule, Chairperson. That is said, you just mentioned that the complaint was dismissed. Chairperson, it reads that the written complaint must set out that full fact on which it is based and refer to the article and or rule and regulation alleged contravened by the offending party. The complaint 19.4, the complainant must not be in respect of protest based on the fact substantial similar to a grievance that has been complained of and has been entertained by SAFA and or SAFA disciplinary committee. 19.5, the complaint must not be made against the referee or assistant referee decision connected with playing any game except the complaint containing an allegation of corruption. Did you, after you lay a complaint, did you wrote or did you give the full fact from to the association for your complaint to sit?
Chair,
Wait, Councillor. Mr. Grell, I want to assume that you are aware that there is an order by High Court
Yes.
that this matter should be entertained.
Yes.
And we are here today as a result of that order.
Yes.
Now, given your line of questions, I believe these were the questions that were entertained before the court. And the court deemed it fit that SAFA need to afford an opportunity for the complaint by Sinenkani to be heard. Hence this forum. You are sitting in this forum as a result of that order.
Yes, Chairperson.
Now, if one may ask, why would you then want the chairperson of Sinenkani to respond to questions as to the process that led to them lodging that complaint when the court has ordered us to entertain the matter?
The reason, Chairperson, is that we wrote a communication to Sinenkani to give us the full fact, Chairperson, on the 14th of April 2025, Chairperson. Yes, that's.
Yeah,
Please
we
protect
can
me.
say-
Please protect me, Chairperson.
No, no.
Yes, Chairperson. So I wanted you to take note, the Chairperson, that even now, Chairperson, we don't have those documents that we wanted from Sinenkani, Chairperson. As you saw, that they just giving us, Chairperson, in this sitting. As per rule 19.7.1, Chairperson. 19.7.1, it says call for any further written information and documentation from the complainant, Chairperson. So they did not comply, Chairperson, with this, Chairperson, with this rule.
Now maybe it's also important for us
Wait,
to
wait,
assist the forum.
let me respond.
So after the court
After
order,
the
Chairperson, we
objection.
wrote this, Chairperson, for the documents.
We have the said letter.
Yes, Chairperson.
Did you share it with
They got it in their bundles, Chairperson.
Chair, may I respond on two
before
things?
you respond, let me. Yes, you may respond.
The first issue, which is a reference to the response where the complaint was dismissed. If you go to page 37 of the judgment, in particular at paragraph, it's under 101, number 1. The decision of the fourth respondent was set
Hold on,
aside.
Council. You said page 37, paragraph.
Yes, of the judgment.
101.
Yes. The decision of,
Okay, wait, do you have it, Mr. Chair?
Page 37.
it's a
Yes,
judgment,
Chairperson, I was
Page 37, paragraph 101.
101,
Order.
of
in
the order.
particular number of the judgment. No, we can assist.
Yes.
So to ask questions about the same complaint where the court order clearly set aside the decision of the fourth respondent, where a reference was made to 19.3, 19.4, and 19.5. It's wrong because this decision has not been set aside. It remains a judgment and it's valid. It's even worse. We are in a DC. This is a decision of the High Court, which in terms of our hierarchy, it's bounding to this forum. Then in respect of what he says to allege that the complainant did not respond when information was requested, there was a response. I remember, as much as I cannot produce it now, we will find it. But I remember there was a response where the complainant, the complainant, which is the applicant, said, when you are asking information from us, the complaint that we filed will stand as our complaint. We will then use the court documents to support our case because the matter has been in the High Court. That's why when we started, I referred this forum to the bundle from the High Court. It's from that. If indeed, as he alleges, they wanted a document, because in terms of the judgment, they are required to conduct an investigation. We have not got any response as to what is the case, what is the response of the second respondent, what is the response of the third respondent, and what is the response of the fourth respondent. And the reason I'm saying that, if we go to rule, it's 19.7, upon receipt of a complaint, the designated SAFA official shall call for any further written information and documentation from the complainant and forward to the alleged offending party the documentation received from the complainant and advises the alleged offending party of the nature of the complaint and asks such party for a written explanation, but warning such party that such explanation may be later used in evidence against the said party. We have paragraph paragraph 3 of the order that says the matter is remitted to the first respondent for proper investigation and determination of the applicant's complaint in accordance with the relevant and applicable provisions of the first respondent's uniform competition rules. And the rule that is relevant to this is that it's 19.7.2, which now we are being told, which is not true, it's a lie. We responded. We said the complaint that we filed together with the papers that we filed in the High Court will serve as our documents, which we're going to rely upon. Then the question is, where did they comply with paragraph 3 as it is provided under 19.7.2? Where is the explanation from the offending parties?
Thanks, Councillor.
Yes, Chairperson, hence I said, Chairperson, that we requested after the court's decision documents, Chairperson. They did not. Chairperson, we still stand on that. Can I proceed?
If you still stand on that, then what is your submission on a statement made by Counsel for Sinenkani that they referred SAFA to the documents that were submitted to court as part of what they would be using in this hearing?
Chairperson, after we wrote to them, there's no response from them which says what is he saying to now.
I want to understand, assist me here. This letter here dated the 14th of April.
Yes, Chairperson.
Was this a letter that was sent after Sinenkani wrote and said all the documents submitted for the court, they would be using the same documents as part of their evidence in this forum? Was this after or before this 14th April?
Rephrase your question, Chairperson?
No, I mean, Counsel for Sinenkani just said they informed the SAF that whatever documents that they had used in their application to High Court would also form part of the evidence that they are going to use in this forum. So I'm asking if whether this letter dated the 14th of April was written before they informed the SAFA that all the documents that was used in the application to the High Court would form part of the evidence in this forum, or it was after.
was after Chairperson.
The letter was written after they
Yes,
informed.
Chairperson.
But then, if they had informed you that they are going to use these documents as part of the evidence in proving this complaint, why then do you then ask also them for further documents? Because I believe that you are in possession of this documents. What was then the rationale? What else were you looking for? Because they had said they are going to use the documents submitted in the application.
Because they were seeking hearing, Chairperson.
Yeah.
They wanted this hearing.
Yes.
Yes.
Understand me here, Mr. Clerk. Counsel for Snenkan is saying, post the judgment by the High Court,
Yes.
they informed SAF that all the documentation that was submitted in the application to High Court would form part of their evidence in proving the complaint that they lodged. Now, you are saying post that, you then also wrote this letter requesting further documents.
Yes.
And I'm asking, if you were informed that the documents that were used for the application in setting aside the dismissal of their complaint were the very same documents that they were intending to use in this forum, why then do you also request further evidence? Because you are saying this letter was written after they had informed the SAF
Yes.
that all the documents that we've used in the court application are the very same documents that we are going to use in proving our complaint. But then post that, you also write a letter seeking for further evidence. Was that maybe because the one that was submitted for the court was not enough, or why? Because for me, if that's the case, then Sinyankane has complied, they submitted the evidence. I don't know if maybe I'm making sense.
Okay, can I carry on, Chairperson?
But do we agree? Do you
Yes, I
with
agree
my
with that,
assumption?
Yeah.
Is it anything different, Council, or?
Chair, I just wanted to clarify this wrong narrative, that what happened is that after the judgment, in preparation for the DC, we were invited to attend the DC. Then they said, in order to prepare for the DC, that letter was sent, where they were asking Snengan to provide documents in order to prove the case. We objected. We said, one, the judgment says the first respondent, not SAFA, Eastern Cape. However, because we don't want to appear as being obstructive or otherwise, the documents that we filed in the High Court, together with the complaint that we filed on the 30th of January, will stand as our case. Then we sent the letter to them. So to say we did not respond, or that that letter was sent after our response, it's incorrect. We responded to that. That's why today we could use these documents. It was based on that. And to show that SAFA is not being opened with the forum. The rule does not say only Snengan, it says SAFA as well. Where are the explanations from all the offending parties? None. The only complaint that is making is that we did not respond, yet we responded. After, when we come back from lunchtime, I will show the letter, and you look at the dates and see that whatever he was saying, he was just misleading.
Thanks. You may proceed. Or do you have anything to respond?
No, we wait for his letter, Chairperson. Yeah, thank you. Can I carry on, Chairperson?
Yes.
Yeah. Mr. Chairman, the council read 5.13. 5.13, where it says they affirm this relationship, both Mr. Ntando Mbangata, the player of FC Rivers, and the third respondent reside in the same house in Badi Baminse area in Mount Frey, Eastern Cape.
5 point?
It's 5.1.3, 5.13.
5.13. Okay. To affirm, yes.
Yes.
Chair, I think in order to, my apologies about this, but to avoid what we discussed about, I'm being shown evidence which I would like to show my learned friend in respect of what he said he will revert to.
Just hold on, Chair. Council would during lunch break request Rachel to make copies for us.
Okay, we can do that because his letter is the 14th, our response is the 15th. So it shows exactly what I was saying.
No, it's fine.
My apologies about that. I just wanted to
Thank you.
bring that to your attention.
So, Chair, I read 5.13, Chairperson.
Yes.
To affirm this relationship, both Mr. Ntando Mbangata, the player of the FC Rivers, and the third respondent reside in the same house in Padebanise area in Mount Free, Eastern Cape. Did you agree on this one?
Yes.
Can you give us a proof that this Mr. Mbangata is staying in the same place with?
Chair, I'll have to object. I'll have to object because the reason I'm going to object, we have affidavits. We have responses from the respondents. As we understand, that's not denied. Then it must be clear that it's the case of the respondent wanting to deviate from what is in the affidavit and present new evidence. Because as things stand, in terms of paragraph 37 of the answering affidavit, it's not denied. Then based on what is he asking this question? Because he cannot ask questions that are not in line with his case.
Sustain, do you wish to provide any evidence contrary to the affidavits that were submitted in the High Court?
In fact, we need to see that affidavit that was from the match commissioner, Chairperson.
Mr.
But
these affidavits were just read in now when council was reading evidence.
And I relied on paragraph 37 of that
Do you
affidavit,
perhaps have a copy?
which is a response to
As I
whatever
said,
we said under paragraph 5.
but they said they will approve it to us, Chairperson. As we said, they never gave us the but
No, I'm saying here is the affidavit
page.
written 11 at the top. By Mr. Sikelela Mtangai. Do you have it?
Page.
Yeah, it's 11. I'm saying it's page 11.
Can you
Paragraph,
open it for me?
paragraph 37.
Second to fourth respondents. It's paragraph, it's at paragraph 5, then the relevant paragraph, it's paragraph 37 of that.
Do you have it?
Uzobulunguvuleleka isiphinde lapho.
Kankinga.
Yes, Chairperson, about it, but Chairperson, this is not the signature of Mr. Ntangai.
Chair, I think, let me assist. We have two affidavits. I mentioned that when I started. We have an answering affidavit where Mr. Ntangai is deposing on behalf of the second, third and fourth respondent, meaning SAFA Eastern Cape, Mr. Mbangata, and himself. Then underneath this answering affidavit, you have a confirmatory affidavit of Mr. Mbangata, where he confirms all the allegations that are being said by the fourth respondent.
Do we have a copy of such?
We have, it's under that affidavit. If you go to the next page, I mean where the affidavit ends, you will see a confirmatory affidavit of Mr. Mbangata.
The one that starts on page 17.
Yes.
Yeah.
In fact, I think let's go to page 18 of that affidavit. That's where Mr. Mbangata confirms all the allegations that have been said by the fourth respondent. And that's how you read the court papers. You cannot confirm on something that you deny. You confirm what you believe to be correct and true. That's what is stated in that affidavit.
Do you have it, Mr. Chair?
Yes, there is.
Okay.
I think on this one we'll agree that the signature that will appear, there will be his signature.
Still is not a signature.
But these are the papers that were filed in court.
Signature, I'm saying that 27 years now.
But these are the papers that were filed in the High Court. So if these papers were filed without your instructions and it's a perjury, whoever who signed, then it must be clear so that we can file a complaint against those lawyers. And you were in court when the matter was argued. And there is no appeal, by the way, which is setting aside the judgment.
Way back 27 years. I never write to Mbangata in my signature. Never.
That's your doubt.
It's not our baby.
What makes my signature to be forced?
Who submitted these things? Who was your leader? Your lawyers?
They were submitted by their lawyers.
What makes my signature to be forced?
No, don't ask
This
us.
is not even forgery because it is not even close.
Don't ask us. Don't ask us. Can I please be afforded the respect?
Yes.
I think maybe we should attend for a short break of 10 minutes and then come back so that one minute we try and settle.
Are we not taking a lunch break?
Oh yeah. Let's attend for 30 minutes lunch break. Come back at 9:30.
Mr. Where did you buy your food?
There's a canteen down there.
Okay.
SAFA didn't provide us anything.
No, we don't provide for this.
We want to eat. We are hungry.
We don't provide. Parties provide for themselves.
Team from Eastern Cape.
You're just hosting us.
No, but you as teams, you brought this case and we said it was in the Eastern Cape, you said you'll come in. So you carry your costs.
Even for food.
No, let's go. Let's go.
We don't have budget to buy food.
Chair, I think there is something that we might have done incorrectly where witnesses are part of us. I think that has to be corrected. Someone to come when it's his case.
No, but these ones are not.
Oh, they are respondents. Yes. No, you are right.
No witness was part of us too.
No. It's fine, nonetheless it's off the record, but remember Mr. Tele said he's not calling any witness, any respondent.
His witness was part of us.
Good, that thing is okay. Let's meet in half past one.
Let's go, guys.
fanele they must bring valid defense. And the authorities sibaze nento authentic. Xa betyisiwe mabeze ne-evidence bangazobhala into engekhoyo ngam.
Don't get angry.
Oko ndaba nesignature zange yaba nombangatha. Oko ndaba nayo. Wonder what you
Okay, you say lunch, so we are after 1:30. 1:20, siyabuya. Hey, ubuyela. Sisazishukuthi plan izibonele zonke into kufuneka we are bringing news ebantwini abantu bebhola mazibone iindaba zebhola. Ngabe uzobeka ibhola indaba